Joining us to talk more about what this announcement may mean for the markets and for the global effects and some of the challenges facing Kuroda is Ed Rogers, Chief Executive Officer with Rogers Investment Advisors. Ed, welcome back to the show. Good to have you on. Walk us through, what does this all mean? Ed, I know you're having some trouble hearing us. Ed Rogers, I want to ask you, what does this all mean, this potential nomination?
This nomination is very good. What it means is that the bureaucrats of Japan are getting on the same page as the elected officials of Japan. So what we're lining up here is actually it's a cohesive government effort, somewhat unlike what we see in the United States at the moment, to address the pressing issue of ongoing deflation in Japan. I mean, that's the #1 problem we have to address. And having the head of the Bank of Japan be on the same page as the Prime Minister, we haven't had that in this country for decades. So it's net very, very positive.
Ed, I'm going to give you a moment here just to fix your earpiece. You can just toss it behind you while I'm talking here. You know, one of the key issues is about the challenges that are facing the government. There's been such high turnover in so many different posts in Japan. This particularly affects the Bank of Japan. And for investors around the world, when we talk about what the priorities will be, for most bank economists, they look at the priorities as really stimulating the economy. Is that the same for the Bank of Japan, or are there different priorities that are at task for them?
I think the Bank of Japan has a very unique set of challenges right now. First of all, we're fighting 2 decades of ongoing deflation. I actually asked, I was at a CLSA conference earlier today and yesterday, what's the multiplier effect of we get reflation in Japan, we get stimulus across public works, we get a renewal of Japanese manufacturing because the dollar yen's moved from 76 to 95, and that's fantastic for Japanese manufacturing. What's a multiplier effect of all these positive things happening? And the initial response from the analyst was, you know, nobody's even tried to calculate how good things can get if the stars are properly aligned.
Now, in full disclosure, you have been a bull about Japan in the past, and I want to ask you as an international investor, are the challenges facing the Bank of Japan and Greater Japan, are they internal or are they of external nature?
They're both. First, we have to solve the internal problem of deflation, lack of public confidence in the public markets, lack of public confidence that the government's going to address the problems. That's one. 2, for this full recovery to take place, we need China to have 8 to 8.5% GDP growth next year. Check the box. That looks like it's done. We would like the United States to not completely fall apart. We think that the United States isn't going to completely fall apart, but you're going to hit some speed bumps on the fiscal side and with sequestration. 3, Europe, again, we don't want to see a disaster in Europe. We don't want to see a return to countries, sovereign risk of default. Check the box. We think Europe is beyond the point of complete disintegration.
Ed, I want to ask you, I only have a few more seconds to go, Ed. I want to ask about the elephant in the room, the dollar-yen issue or the yen-euro issue. The yen is getting pounded just a little bit. It's been a big mover for the past while. Is this going to affect policy and the yen itself, depending on who's at the head of the Bank of Japan?
Absolutely, yes, it will. When we have someone who's going to be fighting deflation, as we believe we will, this is going to lead to a much weaker yen. You know, the final answer is let's look at yen kind of in the 95 to 110 range for the next 2 to 3 years.
All right, Ed Rogers, thank you very much. As you can see, joining us live from Japan.